Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Neville Goddard live study class. And it is for the book. We are continuing on with At Your Command by Neville Goddard. Now, we are on the chapter At Your Command. And I'm going to start with just where we left off last time. Problems are the mountains spoken of that can be removed if one has faith. A question often asked when this statement is made is, if one's desire is a gift of God, how can you say that if one's desire to kill a man, that such a desire is good and therefore God sent? In answer to this, let me say, let me just mute all of you. There we go. In answer to this, let me say that no man desires to kill another. What he does desire is to be freed from such a one. But because he does not believe that the desire to be free from such a one contains within itself the powers of freedom, he conditions that desire and sees the only way to express such freedom is to destroy the man, forgetting that the life wrapped within the desire has ways that he as man knows not of. Its ways are past finding out. Thus, man distorts the gifts of God through his lack of faith. Now, I just want to say about this little bit, Neville does talk about the conditioning your desire. Okay, so whatever you are currently experiencing, and the whole point of doing these live sessions is for you to, when we're reading, when we're discussing, it's to say, okay, well, how can I apply this to my situation that I've got going on right now? If you've got something that you are not enjoying, something that's causing you some discomfort and some suffering, then think of it from that perspective. So conditioning the desire is when we start to think of the how and when, especially the how, okay? So in this example, freedom from this person is what is desired, but the conditioning of the desire is working out the way it's going to happen. So a big part of this spiritual journey is to let go of the how and allow, let go, surrender, and be open to what comes, as in the pieces will fall into place if you are doing your imaginal work. Now, this whole book is At Your Command. That's the title of the book. So the command is God, Source, Infinite Spirit, whatever word you prefer to use. Show me the way to break free from this person. That would be the command in this case, okay? Not, let me work out a way to kill this person. There are a magnitude of options that often we, in our little fixated way, we can't even conjure or come up with. So the at your command is to set the desire in motion through imagining, through the at your command. Infinite Spirit, open the way for my freedom from this person, and that you practice having an open hand. And this is where the faith comes in, the trust comes in, okay? Now, when we have a lack of faith, this is the last sentence of what I just read, it distorts the gifts of God, okay? So don't try and force and coax your way to an ending. Be open-handed and allow the known and unknown channels to bring to you the best way forward, okay? And that's why having the prayer, I pray for the highest good of all concerned, that is a really nice way, especially if someone's bothering you, to not have any fixation of negativity towards that person, because that ends up coming back and you don't want that stuff to come back to you. So I pray for the highest good of all concerned, or I pray for the highest good in this situation. And then you hand it over to Source or God. You've done your bit in the imagining, you've done your bit in the at your command point of view, and you have done your bit. You've swept your side of the street. Okay. Problems are the mountains spoken of that can be removed if one has but the faith of a grain of a mustard seed. Men approach their problem as did the old lady, who on attending service and hearing the priest say, if you had but the faith of a grain of a mustard seed, you would say, unto yonder mountain be thou removed, and it shall be removed, and nothing is impossible to you. That night, as she said her prayers, she quoted this part of the scripture and retired to bed in what she thought was faith. On arising in the morning, she rushed to the window and exclaimed, I knew that old mountain would still be there. For this is how man approaches his problem. He knows that they are still going to confront him, and because life is no respecter of person and destroys nothing, it continues to keep alive that which he is conscious of being. So the mountain is a symbol for whatever it is that you've got going on today. What is it that is your mountain? What is it that you keep expecting when you wake up in the morning and look out the window that you will still say to yourself, I knew that would still be there. So it's approaching it from a ahead in time point. So you're jumping ahead when the mountain is dissolved. That's the work. That's the living in the end. That's the moving forward into the solution, you see. Now, is that easy? No. I think it takes practice, and you get better at it with practice, but it isn't an easy thing to do. But what's great is we get lots of opportunities to practice. So if you come from the mental place that what you have in front of you that's disturbing is still going to confront you, you are still stuck in the problem thinking, and you're still stuck in the old man, as Neville talks about. The old man is the old way of approaching, the old consciousness, the negativity, the old way of thinking that focusing on a problem is going to solve. And it's never that. It's focusing on a solution and imagining the freedom from it. That's what gives you the freedom from it, as in for the mountain to disappear. Okay. B, I'm going to take your question now.
Hi Agnes, how are you?
Hi. Good. What's your question, my lovely?
So my question arises from the faith part, and I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of talk about, because obviously when me and you do the private coaching, which
Mm-hmm.
hopefully start up again,
Yeah.
so I've manifested two things while I've been doing the coaching for the past 2 months. Obviously, the past month I haven't been able to afford it, but one of the things that I wanted to manifest was a trip to Zanzibar. So I did go to Mexico, and now I've
Mm-hmm.
manifested a trip to Zanzibar, and that was at an instant, like literally happened at an instant. But you do teach a lot about self-love, but when you go really, really deep into the self-love, there's the self-sabotage that you're having to deal with. So when it comes down to the faith part, how do you deal with the comp so what I'm reading right now is there's a comfort zone in self-sabotage. You're doing things to fulfill that perpetual comfort. But how do you remove the self-sabotage by having faith that I do want to be in this relationship? Because you know that I'm trying to manifest a specific person, but it's more of a experiment more than it is actually manifesting him into my life. So there's a part of me that believes that I'm perfectly happy without the specific person. I don't really I just want the romantic relationship. I've got the love in my life. I've got my nieces and nephews. I have my
Mm-hmm.
friends. So I know what love actually is, and I obviously love myself as well. And I'm doing these affirmations that you accept yourself, you send good energy to yourself. Does my question make sense, or do I need to articulate it better?
Yeah, articulate a bit more.
So when
The
it,
self-sabotage meaning you're going back to old patterns in, as in your self-love, you're defaulting back to old ways. Is that what you mean?
I think because one of my colleagues turned around and said that, do you know when you've been single for a very long time,
Yeah.
relationship is going to be like, well, why are you talking to me? It's going to be like I need my smell. I feel smothered. I feel like I need my space. But it's also the lack of faith that is the relationship actually going to manifest? Is that why I don't know how to put this into words. Is it I want the relationship to manifest, but I feel like I'm
Yeah.
wishing manifestation away.
Okay. Because of your thinking or because of your self-love defaulting back to old ways?
I don't think it's the self-love defaulting back to old ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you know a person from a distance, you know that don't know them from a very deep level, there is
Yeah.
that element of, do I want to be in a relationship with this person? So when it comes down to the self-love, I feel like, yeah, it's there, but there's more that I'm doing on a deeper level, like actually taking care of myself physically and not just like eating properly and drinking properly, but actually like looking after your skin, like
Yeah.
get your trim regularly, because it just puts you into a routine of I'm worthy. Because one thing I said to you, if you're going to chase off, like if you've got a difficult relationship with your parents, it's going to manifest in your older life by you chasing after people, not because you want to be in a relationship with them, but because you want your parents' acceptance. But I said to you, instead of chasing after these people, I have to focus on myself and turn around and say, instead of focusing on changing the relationship with you, changing the relationship with myself, because you're just affirming to the universe that you're second best. It's a bit of a tricky question that I'm asking. It's
Mm.
hard to articulate, but it's more like there's a part of me that doesn't care if the Pacific person doesn't manifest. But then when I look out the window, well, the mountain is still there. So why is the mountain not gone? That's the question, if that makes sense. So when I look out, he's not there. The
Yeah. Yeah.
romantic relationship is not there. So there is a belief system that the relationship's just not going to manifest.
But it doesn't sound like you got clarity about the desire. I mean, you're saying, oh, if I don't know if I really want a relationship with this person. The universe responds to clarity. So if you're not clear whether you do or you don't, that alone is going to handbrake things. There has to be a clear line of energy between you and your desire. So I would probably be clarify your desire and spend some time thinking about it, because sometimes we don't get clarity straight away. We don't. So, and also, if you've seen someone from a distance and you're not sure whether you want a
Yeah.
relationship with them, get to know them first. Because I don't think you can go from not knowing someone to thinking you want a relationship with them, but you don't really know who they are fully, as in that personal regular contact. That takes time to unfold and get to know someone. So I would firstly get some clarity and then decide if you do get to know this person, then further down the track you decide if you want to have a relationship, once you know who they are and it's based on information, as in who they are.
I think I think you've answered my question, but it is a case you know what you want, but you're questioning whether you want it with that person. So I
Okay.
think it's out there because I think I'm going to be confusing everyone.
No, that's fine. I mean, this is the thing. When we're not 100% clear, the questions don't come out 100% clear, but the way you're explaining it is the way a lot of people think. So there's nothing wrong with not having clarity yet. That's just a process we go through. And I think you're clear you want a relationship. You're not really clear 100% if it's to be with this person, but you can't know that until you get to know them at a more personal level on a more regular basis. So I would probably, before you get the clarity, I mean, is this someone that you can actually see?
So basically, I think you might remember me telling you this. He is a boxer.
Yes.
So yeah, it's him. So he was training. Me and him are actually both from Ilford originally, but then my family moved to the other side of London. But we
Okay.
do. The funny thing was, he saw me in where I live, and his aunt lived there, but now she's deceased. So
Yeah.
then I was like, who was that guy that was looking at me like that? And then he ended up being a very big household name. So when we came across each other, he was just someone trying to make it big, but now he's very, very big. So now he's gone to LA. But I was like, that's the universe responding to you because you're still not clear about your desire. Because you can man, and if I was watching Tam Court and she was like, I manifested my best friend. I saw someone online and I said, I want that to be my best friend. And she manifested her best friend. So people are manifesting specific people, but I
Mm.
believe free will that the other person might not come. And that's what I think, because we've spoken about my ex and I was like, well, I didn't actually want to manifest him. That's why I was manifesting all of these weird things because you knew him and you didn't want to be in a relationship with him. So I feel
Mm.
like there's a part of me that's just like, I don't want to admit to this because I feel like it's a bit weird, but it feels like he's got clingy energy,
Okay.
and it feels like he's got clingy energy, and I'm not a very clingy person. I'm a very free person. So when
Mm-hmm.
someone's being clingy, it's kind of like, does that make sense? That
Mm.
the energy is coming back to me, and I don't like it.
How do you know he's clingy if you haven't had any contact? Is it via online contact?
I haven't had any contact with him, no,
Zero contact. Okay. And is it what's given you the impression that he's clingy?
because every time I think about him, there's just this feeling. And I do believe in telepathy. How are we communicating through each other right now? We've manipulated the natural laws to
Mm.
speak to each other. Even though we're on the opposite sides of London,
Yeah.
it is still a case of we haven't manipulated those laws. That's why I didn't want to admit to it. It just feels like he's got some clingy energy. But then I'm like,
Okay.
maybe that's just an intrusive thought.
Could be. And the thing is, you won't know until you meet him and talk to him to see if that's true or not. You could be correct and you could be wrong. Like you don't know. So it's almost like you need the physical 3D experience to then actually know whether it was your intuition or whether it was something in you
That's
from
where
the
the question.
past, like it could be something from the past.
So that's where I'm coming for. The faith part is that when the 3D manifests, like Neville was just talking about, as in like the mountain's still outside. Why
Mm,
come? So it's that part that's the question, that how do I have faith it will come, but then at the same time you don't really care if it comes or not, because all you want is, you don't want the person, you want the relationship, you want that feeling of being
mm,
in in the Quran. It says we created you in pairs so you can find peace and tranquility in each other, and
mm.
psychology backs that up, because you want the peace and the tranquility, you want that, sitting on his lap type relationship. That's what
Yeah,
you don't really want, the person, but you want to see. It's like test driving the car.
yeah,
You don't know if you might think you want a Range Rover, but they're very hard to drive and hard to insure. So for me, I know I don't want a Range Rover. I want an Audi A1. It's the same thing with the relationship. That I'm not sure if I want it with him, but
mm.
then how can I say I don't want it with him when I don't get to know him? Know him?
That's true. That's true. And I mean, if you're applying the at your command, you can, because you're very clear that you want a relationship, you're just not sure about the person. So you go, okay, let me bypass getting stuck at that roadblock, because if you keep looking at him and you're not sure, it then creates a domino effect onto you having a relationship, because you're getting stuck emotionally here. I don't know if it's him. I'm not sure if he's
Yeah.
needy. So you go, okay, I'm just going to bypass the roadblock by saying, I love being in the best relationship I've ever had. Oh, I love that feeling of cuddling on the couch. I love that feeling of having a pizza and enjoying a Saturday night together. I love that we wake up together in the morning. I love that this person is very thoughtful about the people that are important to me. Ah,
Yeah.
so you bypass the roadblock, you go around it. And this is the jumping to the end and activating the emotions you would have if you had that now. And the face, in your instance, in this example, the face is not the most important thing. Some people have a specific person and they absolutely want that specific person and no one else. You sound like this is like a possibility, but you're not 100% sure whether you want to step towards it or not. So you go, well, I don't have to decide that. All I got to do is put that in a basket, send it up to God, and say, I'm going to work on living in the end of, I love this relationship. This is the best
Yeah.
relationship we've ever had, him and me.
Yeah. Can I just share the story about how I manifested my Zanzibar trip?
No,
No? Okay.
no, you haven't shared it. But if you want to share it with us, go ahead.
Okay.
Mm.
So basically, I was just like, I had no one to go to Zanzibar with, and I really wanted to go to Zanzibar. I told you about it, like the Freddie Mercury and everything like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
just sat down and I was like, okay, someone on Instagram's gone on Zanzibar. So let me just visualize sitting on the horse and going across the water. And the funny thing is, I just got a moment of epiphany and I was like, oh, ask Zara, someone you haven't spoken to in like 4 years, how she is and if she wants to go to Zanzibar with you. And it happened. We're going in
Wow.
September.
Oh,
And
that's
it was just like
fantastic.
the funny thing was, yeah, it was just like, it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. And literally visualized it once and dropped it. And then
Yeah,
it just came to me. And I'm just like, why can't manifesting a relationship just be that easy?
it can.
Mm.
It can. You think, and I'm glad you said that out loud, because this is the collective consciousness of a lot of people that aren't in a relationship. Manifesting a relationship is hard. Me manifesting a romantic relationship is hard. That's in your consciousness about that subject. It's not. Use the Zanzibar experience as a something to trace it, what you did, how you did it, apply it to the subject of relationships and love, because it worked, which means it gives you faith. If you can do it for this topic, you can do it for that topic.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Agnes.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you had that experience, because now it shores up your ability to do it again. Once you've done something once and you go, wow, all I did is visualize it once and I thought about her and then I dropped it and then it all fell into place, that can be the exact same experience of having a relationship. It can be that simple.
Because the faith part wasn't there. It actually
Mm,
wasn't. And it
mm,
was just like, thank God, like, alhamdulillah, thank God that it actually manifested because that was something I really, really
mm.
wanted for like 5 minutes for years.
Yeah,
So, but I was going to ask another question, but I've completely forgotten it.
that's okay. You can put your hand up again a bit later. That's fine. Good question. Good question. I like the trajectory of where your head's going, because the clarity, and this is for all of you in here, the clarity is the important thing. The universe, God, infinite intelligence, whatever word you prefer, cannot deliver if you've got a fuzzy target. So
Can I just, I've
you've got to
remembered the
tighten it
question.
up. Mm-hmm.
I remember the question. So with me, when I'm visualizing through the day, because this is something that I want and thinking about it has a certain satisfaction to it. It's literally a case when I visualize it, it feels like the manifestation is done and I don't need the relationship. So
Okay.
that's why I think there's something going on in my head that I don't understand.
You're saying, so if you visualize it, that you don't want it.
No, I
It's
visualize it and it feels like it's manifested. You know that feeling
okay.
like, okay,
Yeah.
it's actually real, it's actually happening. So
Yeah.
when you wake up, it's just like, okay, that was a bit of an out of body experience.
Okay.
And that's why
That
I feel
sounds
like,
that sounds nice. Doesn't sound bad at all.
but then when you wake up, it's just like, well, it's not here.
And that is you going back to your regular standard consciousness of looking at the problem, looking at what's not there, looking at the glass half empty. That's just your thought that takes you in that direction. So, and the thing is, the morning is a big danger zone for a lot of people. They wake up and then they realize, oh, that's right, I still haven't got that. And then they drop. Because when you first wake up, you're in that fairly good place usually until you have a thought about something that has been bugging you, and then you pick that up again. So
Mm.
notice it if it happens in the morning and then go, okay, well, that's not the thought I want. Let me change it into, wouldn't it be nice if I had a great relationship? Wouldn't it be wonderful if? we did X, Y, Z. Wouldn't it be fantastic if this happened easily and effortlessly, just like my trip to Zanzibar?
Thank you, Agnes.
No problem. It's good. It's good. This is breaking down the mechanics of how to manifest and how to use Neville to manifest. So, yeah, good question. Gayatri, I'll take your question now before we read again.
Okay. Shall I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So Agnes, I just want to know, with regards to my situation. So you said don't look at the line where there is a barrier. So you don't look at the mountain, right? And you just shift your focus away from the mountain. So, but what if you have these mountains of beliefs that you have created over the past experiences, and they stand in front of you, and when such things happen in a new relationship, with regards to mine, I have taken coaching, I don't mind telling
Yeah.
in front. So what if those are my patterns and beliefs? How do I really get past them?
Well, you have to remind yourself that the person in front of you isn't the person from 2 years ago, 5 years ago, from before, that this is a fresh new person. So it's saying to yourself, the past doesn't equal the present, and what's happened before doesn't have to happen again. See, it's the fear of it happening again which draws it to us again. It's not that it has to happen again. It's that you've sent out the signal of please don't let this happen again. There it is. So you have to learn to harness your mind, and you do it bit by bit, and you will get better at it over time. I mean, it's jumping out of the groove. So when you start your repetitive, habitual, negative thoughts about this person when they've done nothing, but it really comes from that person from before, you have to interrupt the thought process. How do you do that? I find Ho'oponopono is a nice, easy one for people that go to different religions or spiritual groups. They might have a prayer. Do something, say something to jump out of that mental track, because it's just repetition and it's an old habit. That's all it is. So, or you might just repeat, I am loved, or may divine love be made alive in me, just to pull yourself away from what's going on. It might not be an affirmation that fits the situation, because sometimes that's too hard. Like if you're experiencing someone not contacting you when they said they would, and then you fall into feeling unloved, you trying to say, I am loved, I am loved, I am loved at that minute might be too big of a jump. So, and then your head rejects it. It rejects it. It rejects it. And then you think, oh, I can't do these affirmations. They're too hard. It's just that affirmation is too big of a jump at this moment because of the situation that's going on. So that's why perhaps the Ho'oponopono, or may divine love be made alive in me, because that's not trying to change this situation where that person's not being loving and I want to feel the love, so I'm going to try and affirm, and then you're working too hard. I think jump out of the groove and do something easier, and then it oils the cogs. And once that happens, then you start moving out of that hit that you took from them not contacting you. Then you can come back up to then go, okay, I do believe divine love is alive in me now. I've done this for a while. Whew. Okay, now what am I going to do? I'm going to say, I love how everything is always working out for me, and do a general affirmation. Okay, so that seems to be easier than trying to jump too quick, too fast.
We could also say that even in the worst possible situation, even then everything works out well for me. Everything always works well for me, right? Yeah. And also I wanted to ask, see, manifestation is all about states, right? Like the state which you occupy. So I feel that I am loved is one of the most powerful affirmations. I think, like, I'm loved and I'm loved. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it actually helps me to get into the state of being in love for myself.
Mm.
But sometimes when I go deep into it, I can radiate it out also. You are loved to the person, whoever it might
Yes.
be, my
Yeah.
boss, my HOD, or even my specific person, anyone.
Yeah.
I want to ask whether just this simple, leave about all other techniques, only I'm loved, can attract your SP back into your life.
Just doing the one affirmation? Yeah. But when you think of it, the affirmation is just what's sitting on the top. It's the thought and your mind, because the words are the language of the mind and the emotions are the language of the body. So you start here, I am loved, or I am love, whichever one you're doing. And then from that, ooh, it sinks down into the body. And then you are changing your state, which Neville talks about changing the state. So you're changing from the I'm unloved state to, whew, I've just got a lift. I've been doing this for 20 minutes. Ah, that's right. That's who I am. I am loved. So it's like the mind starts it off and then the body has to join in, and they're like two halves of a nut that fit together. But it's the feeling of I am love or I am loved that brings in the relationship, not just the words themselves, because there's a lot of people doing the words, and the word, you have to start somewhere. There's nothing wrong with just doing the words. There's a lot of talk about this robotic affirming, but the thing is, you have to start somewhere with something. And if it's robotic in the beginning, so be it. I mean, I did I am love for probably 2 years and didn't feel a thing because I just didn't. But I thought, oh, well, eventually it'll happen. I didn't go, oh, I'm not feeling it, I'm going to give up. I just kept doing it. And eventually, one day, it was like when you get on the bike and you keep falling off. And then one day you ride and you do that. And then all of a sudden you can ride. And it's the same with this. It's like you got to start somewhere. You start by committing it to memory. You get your mind used to it. It becomes familiar. You get up to go to the bathroom at 3 o'clock in the morning and it starts on its own because you've been doing it so much. And then your body joins in, your emotions, your feelings take over, and it comes to life. So, I mean, I used to think, people used to say, years ago when I was first starting this, it's like, oh, you have to do your affirmations with feeling. But for me, that never worked because I'm trying to do them in my head and then I'm trying to feel it. It's too much going on. So for me, it was easier to just commit it to memory, get good at saying it, do it gently, do it at a good pace, and then the feeling would come on its own. For me, that was a much more smooth transition than I have to feel every affirmation that I'm doing, which I see a lot of that, and it doesn't work. People get stressed and anxious, and then they go, oh, I can't do these affirmations, they don't work. So the affirmation is a start, and then the feeling joins in, and then that state has changed. You've gone from feeling unloved or trying to get love or neediness or loneliness over here. You do your affirmations, it rebalances you, and then the energy that shoots off from you becomes the I am love emotion. The state has changed. And then that brings in the relationship, to answer your question. Yes.
What about, you said no, you don't get a single message or a call, and then you feel that you feel that you're not loved. So in such situations, is it very good to shift to I'm loved? Because we need to shift to the state. Like you said, you see the mountain again, you see and you build
Yeah.
stone. So we can go either to I'm loved, or I just wanted to ask, like, if that is happening, or how can we go directly? Could we go directly to the living in the end?
I think you can go directly to the living in the end state.
Because you
But
don't need in between stuff.
you don't once you get good at it. I think in the beginning you kind of need to jump in levels because you're aware that you don't feel loved. you go, oh, I've got to do this again. Then you start it and you're not really happy about it. Then you start feeling a bit of a shift and you go, oh, that feels a bit better. And you straighten up and then you go for a walk and then you pick up your pace and you start to feel the shift where the energy changes in you. So that's a really good thing, is doing it in stages. I've yet to find people that can go from down here to up there really quickly. I think there's often a transition.
But then
you,
it means that you do expect a little bit movement, right? Like you need, as humans, we keep checking in the 3D for that our work is like reflecting back, right? It's then how do we really, like, yeah, it's very tough to shift from the basic, like, nothing, we're not seeing any movement, to directly to living in the end. So what do you do in such times? That time you let go of the fear, doubt, and anxiety, is it?
Yeah, because your dissatisfaction, you're looking for proof. And the looking for proof tells you you're not in the state. Because when you're in the state, you don't look for proof anymore. You are in the state of love. So there's no looking to the evidence. No evidence required. But it's not about doing it perfectly. It's just progress, because you'll come in and out of it. You know, we do, and that's all right.
You can't make it. One heart and 1 heart sadness, 1 heart happy, love, and 1 heart.
Of course. And that, you know, it's just letting your emotions pass through. And you go, oh, I'm stuck in this again. Okay, let me do the I am love. Let me do it. Okay. Or sometimes you just go, I'm too tired. I've had enough of it. I'm going to bed. And sometimes just going into sleep pulls you out of it, because you feel when you're more tired, you're more negative. When you're more negative, it's harder to do the mental work. So if you can't do the mental work because you're too tired, you've had a long day, go to sleep. That'll get you there quicker. And then you wake up in the morning with a much fresher mind because you're more rested. And then you go, I'll start the affirmation in the morning. So sleep is a quick way out, if you're not too mentally disturbed by what's happened, because sometimes you can't sleep when stuff's really, you know, got you. So yeah,
I would say this. So you are suggesting this I'm loved can even attract your SP? Just this one statement, right? That's
I am love. Yeah, I am love. Not so much I am loved, because that still implies it's coming from somewhere else, unless you're thinking of I am loved by source or God. If you're thinking of it from that point, I'm loved's fine. But if you're doing I am loved from that person out there, you're still chasing love. And that's not the state of love. That's the state of trying to get love.
Yeah, usually when I see that there is no evidence in 3D, then I'll think, okay, just shift. You don't need love from this person. All you need is love from the source. So
That's
I'm
right.
loved from the source. That's how
That's it. Because we get stuck on human love. And that's when we don't get it, we're like the puppet that gets its strings cut. We feel devastated. But that's because we've been trained to think, if that person loves me, I will feel loved. So we give our power away to that way of interpreting it. The whole lesson is to know that no one owes us anything in the love department. And if we can remember that and take our foot off the back of everyone's neck, energetically I'm talking about, you free them from having to love you, and you free yourself from trying to get it. Now that will come around again and again and again and again until you get better at it. And we forget it. We forget. But you can get better at it. You can.
Thank you, Agnes.
No worries. Okay, I'm going to read a bit more, and then Kathleen, I will take your question after that. Now, let me see where we were. For this is how man approaches his problem. He knows that they are still going to confront him, and because life is no respecter of persons and destroys nothing, it continues to keep alive that which he is conscious of being. So see, Whatever you're conscious of, that's what it keeps alive. So if you're conscious of, I am wealthy, then you're going to keep that alive. If you're conscious of, I am free, then that will keep the freedom alive. If you're conscious of, I am loved, or I am love, you will keep that alive. So you've got to choose what you're conscious of, because it is that destroys your mental state if you pick something that is, I am not wealthy, I am not loved, and I am not happy, and I'm not, because that's a lot of what we're doing. We may not use those exact words, but that's what we're doing. And it's those words that cause us the suffering, the emotions that go with those words. Okay? Things will disappear only as man changes in consciousness. So the only way to dissolve the lack of a relationship is to stop holding it in your consciousness. I'm alone, I'm lonely. How long is this going to go on for? Being single is a disease. Everybody I know has got a relationship. Why am I last? Why do I get rejected? All that collective cluster of thoughts is what causes the singleness. The same applies for money. The awareness of the debt, the awareness of the bills, the awareness of what the governments are doing, the banks are doing, the anger, the resentment, the this, the that. But you break free of all that once you realize they can't stop me from creating money if I stop focusing on them and what they're doing. And I just put my focus on enjoying creating money in a wonderful way, and that money comes from known and unknown sources. My consciousness is focused on that. Therefore, that is what has to come. So it is well, once you know this, you become extremely careful of what you put your thoughts on, because you know that the boomerang comes back. So why not have a good boomerang, something that brings gifts and windfalls and amazing gifts from, say, someone that you love, or a surprise or whatever, because you are focusing on how joyful and free and wonderful your life is. Hence that affirmation. Isn't it wonderful what's happening to me now? It's focusing on a general affirmation that covers, if you've got lots of topics you want to manifest, health, work, money, relationship, you can do a blanket affirmation like that, and it opens up all the channels for all those things simultaneously. So it saves you having to imagine this, imagine that, imagine this, imagine that, or have an affirmation for each topic. This is an affirmation that covers all ground, so to speak. Okay? So going back to that sentence, I'm going to read it again. Things will disappear only as man changes in consciousness. Deny it if you will, it still remains a fact that consciousness is the only reality, and things but mirror that which you are in consciousness. So all you got to do is look at what someone's life is, what they're living, and that will tell you what their consciousness is around that topic. Even if you don't know a whole lot about them, you will, if you get little glimpses of what they say, you will then understand why they are living what they're living, because their dialogue and their state is at that level on that topic, as in not getting what they want. So if anything, the being extremely mindful about what you let run through your head, that's one of the greatest gifts of all, that you don't just let your mind wander around for nothing. Deny it if you will, it still remains a fact that consciousness is the only reality, and things but mirror that which you are in consciousness. So the heavenly state you are seeking will be found only in consciousness, for the kingdom of heaven is within you. As the will of heaven is ever done on earth, you are today living in the heaven that you have established within you. So what have you established within you today? If you've got something in front of you that's not so great, what have you established within you on this particular topic or desire? Okay. So for here on this very earth, your heaven reveals itself. It's just like a relationship reveals to you how well you are doing. The relationship is live streaming what you got going on about relationships all the time. So often relationships deteriorate for a lot of people. And that's because they start focusing on the negatives of that person, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And then they argue, and then eventually someone just has enough and they take off. So the collective consciousness of the topic of you and me is that I'm starting to have negative assumptions about you. And Neville talks a lot about assumptions. You have assumptions about yourself. You have assumptions about other people. So if you want a good relationship, you must have good assumptions about that person. If you want a lot more money, you have to have good assumptions about the money you have and the money that's possible to come to you. That it's a fun treasure hunt, not, oh my God, I've got this bill again. How the heck am I gonna? You got to stop doing that. Okay. So your consciousness is the key that opens the door to your desire. Okay. Kathleen.
I think you may have sort of answered my question already, because I was back there when we were on the keeping the faith, and my biggest problem is keeping the faith. I do my stuff every day. I do continue when things like the bills come up, and I affirm I have more than enough money. I'm free. Something wonderful is happening to me. But sometimes I get really discouraged. I just think, I've done this every day. Where is it?
Yeah.
I think that is probably my biggest thing, because that feeling becomes really intense all of a sudden, more so than feeling the wealthy when, you don't see the evidence.
Mm.
The mountain's still out there in your window, the mountain of bills or whatever, and
Yeah.
still doing the job. So
Yeah.
I think that for me is the biggest thing, is getting discouraged. I'll go, I can do really well for, several days. I can go a week or two, and then suddenly it's just like, okay,
Mm.
when is it going to happen? So I was just wondering if you maybe had another tip, but you have given more since then. So that was my question.
Kathleen, I would go more and more for I am free if you can, because
that is one.
Yeah.
My main go-to mantra is the feeling of, I have more than enough money. I'm free. So
Yeah.
that is my main mantra right there, is that. So
Okay, but how free do you feel?
not very free.
Okay,
that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. I cannot seem to find something that makes me feel really free. I feel every single day pressured
and
by
trapped.
the things I have to do that I'm not wanting to do or not enjoying doing.
Yeah. Okay. The thing that helped me when I was feeling really trapped in my last line of work in the end, you know that feeling when you finished your day and you put the key in the door and you turn the lock and you finish? That's the best time to say I am free, because you are technically free till the next morning. So milk that period of, I've just finished work for the day, and how do you get home? Do you walk? Do you drive?
I drive.
Okay. So from the front door to the car, make I am free, because you will easily access that emotion as you walk out the door, because you're finished for the day. Oh my goodness, I'm free. Milk that journey from the end of the day to home. That's the pocket. How long does it take you to get home?
Less than 10 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe 5.
Okay. Go around the block twice and make it 10.
Make it a long trip. Okay.
Make it a 10-minute trip. Because 10 minutes times 7, that's 70 minutes in a week, so that's an hour and 10 minutes that you've done I am free for. So it's capturing where it's the easiest to do the I am free and to feel it. That and I mean, how many days a week are you not working?
Well, I'm not there physically. Let's see. it's getting to be more and more. Let's see, instead of less and less. Let's see, Sundays I'm not there.
Okay.
And then usually Thursday. So at least those 2 days I'm not
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So, but it has been several times now on Monday when it hadn't been Monday. And
Okay.
then obviously I'm there Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, full
Okay.
day. So,
Can you extend that 10 minutes to perhaps doing a walk and doing I am free for half an hour to an hour?
well, we do go for walks and I try to think about that, but it's been so hot here the last couple of weeks, we haven't been able to do our walks and that's been discouraging for me. And Sunday's usually my
Yeah.
day to run and my time for running, it was already almost 90 degrees. So
Yeah.
I just don't do it. I don't feel like the humidity's so high. I don't feel like it's safe. It's not
Yeah.
beneficial to go run, even
No.
though for my mental well-being, it would be beneficial. It wouldn't be for my physical well-being.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's been a little bit discouraging too, because when I run, I can get into the feeling of I'm free. That for me feels free. I'm out there
Yeah.
running. I'm
Mm.
free. There's nothing else I'm doing, and so I haven't been able to do that. So
Mhm.
that's been a bit of a problem. But
Have you got
so
a
that
pool? Have you got a pool nearby where it's when it's hot? No.
no.
No. Okay.
But and like I say, the walking, which usually makes me feel free because that would have been during business hours. So I'm not at the business and I make a point of thinking about that. I'm free because I could have been sitting there at the business doing something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So I do make a point of that when we're walking. Like I said, we haven't been able to walk much in the last few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so
Remind me where you are in the US?
in West Virginia, so on
Okay.
the more eastern side.
Yeah.
About 2 or 3 hours from about 6 hours from Chicago and about 5 hours from DC. So I'm kind of between the two. But it's a
Okay.
very humid area. So it
Mm.
makes 95 very, very miserable. I mean, the heat index is like 105 to 110.
Yeah. 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 That's hot. That's really
But
hot. Well,
and
it's
we
just
have walked some.
Kathleen, it's just adapting it. I mean, when I'm in Australia, it's stinking hot too. So what I do is I lay on my bed under the fan and I just lay on my back and I do it that way. So it's trying to adapt it to make it work in some way, whether you float in a pool, you lay on your bed with a fan, you run, you walk. Some people swim and do laps, adapt it so that you can be consistent with it, because it's that emotion of freedom that gets you the more money and more freedom. It's the consistency of feeling that for an hour.
Yeah.
I think if you can do it an hour you don't have to do it when you're working, but on your days off, if you can make it, and if you can't do an hour, do half an hour, 40 minutes, you don't have to do an exact hour, but it's living in the end for that time that then draws things to you more quickly because you're doing concentrated blocks of feeling that emotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had not thought about doing it at specific times like that.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I will do that like when I'm leaving. And
It's
also
so easy to
even the
do when you're
days
leaving.
I'm not there, there are tasks I have to take care of, like doing the banking and the accounting and various other things that I do from home. So
Yeah.
I will do it once those are completed also. I
Yeah.
will, once I'm leaving the bank and the post office, and think, oh, I'm free now.
That's it. That's
So
it.
yes,
Yeah.
that is a good tip. Thank you.
Yeah. Because it kind of is just natural that you go, oh, I'm glad that's over,
Yeah.
Mm.
All the tasks that I have to do each day, because like I said, even though I'm not physically there, my days at home, I still have a good chunk that are dedicated to doing tasks for the business, like
Yeah.
the banking and the accounting and, just answering some emails and texts from customers and things like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so yes, I will specifically, because I had been doing it first thing on the days I'm home, thinking, oh, I'm free today. But then I have all these tasks facing me. Oh no, I got to do the accounting. I got to go to the bank. I got to get the deposits ready. I got.
Yeah.
So that kind of took away from the feeling of freedom. So yes, doing it after I've done those tasks
Yeah.
will be better. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Much easier. Pick your moment is a really important part of, I think, manifesting. Pick your moment.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
No worries. Okay, continuing on with, where were we? As the will of heaven is ever done on earth, you are today living in the heaven that you have established within you. For here on this very earth, your heaven reveals itself. The kingdom of heaven really is at hand. Now is the accepted time. So create a new heaven. Enter into a new state of consciousness, and a new earth will appear. The former things shall pass away. They shall not be remembered, not come into mind anymore. For behold, I, your consciousness, come quickly, and my reward is with me. So when you shift consciousness, the former things shall pass away. So the state change in you will create a change in circumstances and experience. I am nameless, but will take upon myself every name, nature that you call me. Remember, it is you yourself that I speak of as me. So every conception that you have of yourself, that is every deep conviction you have of yourself, is that which you shall appear as being. So whatever you think about yourself, and you think of it with feeling, in other words, that is what you shall appear as. So if you feel, oh, I don't have enough money and I'm stressed and I feel financially fearful, that's going to be what you see on the outside. That's what shall appear into being. If you practice, you know what, I'm going to disregard how it looks and I'm going to practice I am wealthy and I'm free, then that will be what eventually shows itself in front of you. So for I am not fooled. God is not mocked. So when you're not doing it from the place of believability, the powers that be, source, doesn't, it knows what you're really doing. It reads your signal. It doesn't just read what you're sending out through words, it reads what you're sending out through your state change or your old state, whichever one you're in. Now, let me instruct you in the art of fishing. It is recorded that the disciples fished all night and caught nothing. That's so interesting that we're talking about this, because I just finished watching The Chosen on Netflix, and it was about Jesus multiplying the fish for a fisherman. And it was an excellent short series on love and how to live in the end. And it was Jesus showing us at your command. So very interesting. If any of you haven't seen it and you would like to experience basically what we're talking about in movie form, that is a good one to have a look at. So then Jesus came. It is recorded the disciples fished all night and caught nothing. Then Jesus came upon the scene and told them to cast their nets once more in the same waters that only a moment before were barren, and this time their nets were bursting with the catch. This story is taking place in the world today, right within you, the reader. Okay? So where are you not catching fish, and where are you casting your net and pulling up nothing? There is the shift change. Jesus believed on their behalf and asked them to do it again, and they didn't believe and they did it, and then they saw the end result. So this is when it's nice to hold the vision for someone else sometimes. So if you've got a law of attraction friend, a Neville friend, a personal development friend, that you can do these things for each other, because your friend isn't as attached to things as you are in your life, and vice versa. So you can help each other. For you have within you all the elements necessary to go fishing, but until you find that Jesus Christ, which is your awareness, you will fish as did these disciples in the night of human darkness. That is, you will fish for things, thinking, things to be real and will fish with the human bait, which is a struggle and an effort. And this is why we get constantly told by scriptures, by spiritual groups, by religious groups, that surrender is important. Having faith and surrender, they're the two things that gets talked about in pretty much all the religions and all the faiths and all the spiritual teachings. And yet it is the thing that is highly overlooked, because as humans, we love to be action figures. But it is the inaction and the internal letting go and the surrender that often signals to the universe that you are no longer trying to push, force, and make it happen, because that's the energy of fear. It is not the energy of love. So the human bait, which is a struggle and an effort, trying to make contact with this one and that one, trying to coerce this being or the other being, and all such effort will be in vain. But when you discover your awareness of being to be Christ Jesus, you will let him direct your fishing. So this is really, Abraham Hicks talks about allowing. Neville calls it state change. There are different ways of saying the same things. So it's remembering not to push with your own might all the time. When something's not working, you say, okay, source, God, infinite intelligence, I am handing this over to you, and I'm going to surrender, let go, and allow, and I'm going to do my work, which is live in the end mentally and emotionally by having my state change. That is me sweeping my side of the street. That's the bit I can do. But then I have to trust and have faith that you will take over and bring it in. The how and the when is the God's department. Okay? So, but you discover your awareness of being to be Christ Jesus, you will let him direct your fishing. So you have to learn to direct, to hand over the directing, you have to let go of the directing. You're not the director. You are the characters in the play, but you have the ability to focus, which assists the director to do his job. Okay? Now, and you will fish in consciousness for the things that you desire. For your desire will be the fish that you will catch. Because your consciousness is the only living reality, you will fish in the deep waters of consciousness. Leave behind you all that is now your present problem or limitation. Now, how do you do that? You put your full attention elsewhere. You stop going over it. You stop thinking about what they said. You stop replaying the day before. You stop going over what the customer said that really annoyed you and that you're still thinking about it at midnight when you've been in bed for an hour rolling around. Let stuff go. How? It takes practice. It's not easy, but you can get better at it. But I find giving the mind something else to do to replace that. You can't often say to your mind, stop thinking about that, stop thinking about that person, stop thinking about what they said. It doesn't work. The mind needs something to do. It is like a rabbit on a wheel or a gerbil on a wheel. It needs to go around and around and needs something to do, unless you're asleep. So I'm going to read that one more time. Leave behind you all that is now your present problem or limitation. Gayatri, go ahead.
Agnes, so here you are saying like the power of letting go, right? Like, or just so I just have a doubt. Are you saying that imagining or living in the end itself is letting go? No, right?
No, living in the end is focused attention on your desire.
Yeah.
Once you finish that, then you let go, which means you put your full attention elsewhere, as in at work, with your children, with your friends, cleaning your house, whatever you're doing. There has to be a separation between living in the end, which is conscious focusing mentally on something and then activating the emotions of having it. You're jumping ahead in time and you're dragging it back into the present.
Okay. So in my case, if I do repeat affirmations in the morning, even after going to work, So I do repeat affirmations in the morning, or I do some meditation when I have some time.
Yeah.
So then I try to, like, for the current state I am in, like I have been not doing well emotionally for past few, like 1 or 2 weeks. So getting back to the letting go is very tough, but I'm getting better day by day. My question is, like, when I do all this, when I do my meditation or inner child or visualization or whatever of affirmations, then it's better to focus on the work. But even when I'm doing the work, the something is hitting in the back of my neck saying that, oh, this is like, it's yet to happen. It's yet to happen. So during such times, is it okay to say that just trust and give space and let it will come?
Yeah.
I'm just asking you, like, is
Yes.
it worthwhile? Like, could I practice that? That I'm just asking that.
Well, yeah, because it's like the child in us panics, like, oh, when is the person going to come back? When's that going to happen? The child's the panic one.
Mm.
Then you got to act, you got to pull the adult in and say, well, I know that's happening. It will happen at the right time. I'm going to, look after you, or whatever you want to say, because it's like you've got two people inside you, the adult and the child's the one that runs on panic, fear, anxiety. It's the one that wants to run out and, pick up addictions. It's the child in us because it's emotionally up and down like a yo-yo. So it's like, I mean, the child has so many good bits too. It's fun, it's playful, it's spontaneous, all those things. But then it comes with the downside where it can overindulge. It doesn't know when to stop. Like, this is where people over contact people when they let that part of them just do whatever it wants. You got to rein the child in and go, no, you're not ringing that person 5 times in an hour. That's not okay. So you got to get the adult on board to deal with the child.
Got that. Excellent.
Not saying you do that, because I know that that's not your way, but you know what I mean. That was just an example.
No, but yeah, sometimes the child in me wants to contact.
Yeah.
So I was putting my adult self in place to bring back the child. No, don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Thank you.
That's okay. Justice, have you got the book?
I don't have the book, and
No,
Sorry,
just
have the book. I'm just driving and listening. So
oh,
once
no
I get
problem.
landed, I will text the group when I have my book, and I can
No
read for you.
problem, my lovely. I just know you usually have it, so I thought I'll ask you.
Yeah, I did bring it, but I have to have my car looked at, and so I'm at my grandparents or driving there and having my
No
so
problem at all, my lovely. Does
probably
anyone
like 20 minutes.
No worries, no worries. Does anyone have the book and they'd like to read? Just put your little hand up so I know who you are. No, that's okay. I will read. No problem. Okay, where were we? I've lost. Oh no, here we go. Now, we talked about the fishing. And that's right. Christ, you will let him direct your fishing, and you will fish in consciousness for the things you desire. For your desire will be the fish that you will catch. Because your consciousness is the only living reality, you will fish in deep waters of consciousness. So this is why it's so important not to let your mind wander around on things that you worry about, that make you anxious, that make you angry, because you are basically, when you do that, you are watering the plant of something you don't want to manifest. So when you've got those emotions, it's not about doing it perfectly, but when you can see yourself starting to go down that, ball bouncing down the stairs and picking up speed, it's catching yourself and saying, if I continue with this, I'm going to manifest things that I really don't want, because I'm putting thought with intense emotion, and those are the two things that create. So it's being mindful to say, again, rein the child in and say, right, we're doing this. Okay. Leave behind you all that is now your present problem or limitation. If you would catch that which is beyond your present capacity, you must launch out into deeper waters, for within your present consciousness, such fish or desires cannot swim. To launch out into deeper waters, you leave behind you all that is now your present problem or limitation. I'm going to read that again. To launch out into deeper waters, you leave behind you all that is now your present problem or limitation. So you're going past it, you're going beyond it, you're not staying in that loop. By taking your attention away from it, so you put your attention on something else fully, and you make the effort to do so. Turn your back completely upon every problem and limitation that you now possess. So if you feel trapped, put your focus on freedom. If you feel poor, put your focus on feeling wealthy. If you feel unloved, put your focus on recalling the people in your life that you know love you. And then that'll help you generate the love within. So you have to kill off the thoughts. Thoughts are like, they're alive. They respond to your attention to them. They lay dormant unless you call them up and activate them. Okay? Dwell upon just being by saying, I am to yourself. Continue to declare to yourself that you just are. Do not condition this declaration. Just continue to feel yourself to be. And without warning, you will find yourself slipping the anchor that tied you to the shallow of your problems and moving out into the deep. Now, I had tried this for years. I find it doesn't really work for me, the I am on its own, because my head starts playing around and saying, I am what? What exactly? What is this? What are you talking about? And that I know works for some people. If it works for you, fantastic. For me, saying I am love was much more effective, because that, being a visual person, I needed something. I am is just a blank screen for me. It doesn't have a visual. So if you can do I am and you get a good feeling from it, press on. If you can't, add a word to it. I am love, I am, or even may divine love be made alive in me, because that's a beautiful one from Florence Scovel Shin. It's to repeat something and start to condition your mind so that you release into that state of being. Okay? Do not condition this declaration. Just continue to feel yourself to be. And without warning, you will find yourself slipping the anchor. I've already read this, but I'm reading it again. That tied you to the shallow of your problems and moving out into the deep. Don't be afraid, for courage is necessary. This is usually accompanied with the feeling of expansion. You will feel yourself expand as though you were actually growing. Don't be afraid, for courage is necessary. You're not going to die to anything by your former limitations, but they are going to die as you move away from them, for they live only in your consciousness. In this deep or expanded consciousness, you will find yourself to be a power that you had never dreamt of before. The thing desired before you shoved off from the shores of limitation are the fish you are going to catch in this deep. Hang on. Carla, can you, hang on, I've just muted you. Carla, be mindful of the sound coming through, my lovely. Okay, where are we? Because I am your consciousness is the resurrection and the life. You must attach this resurrecting power that you are to the thing desired, if you would make it appear and live in your world. Now, this must be a good section, because I've written yippee in pink next to this. Okay, what's coming? I'm going to start at the top of that paragraph again. Because I am your consciousness is the resurrection and the life, you must attach this resurrecting power that you are to the thing desired, if you would make it appear and live in your world. So the emotion is the petrol for the vehicle to get you to your desire. Okay? I am wealthy, I am free, I am strong. When these feels, and that's what it says, F-E-E-L-S, are fixed within yourself, your formless being will take upon itself the forms of the things felt. Okay, this is where I wrote yippee. So I'm going to read that again. When these feels, meaning the I am free, I am strong, I am wealthy, are fixed within yourself, as in your body as emotions, not just in your mind as a sentence, your formless being will take upon itself the forms of the things felt. So it's like energy particles move from your state, and then the law of projection takes it forward, and then the particles form to create your desire. Okay? They assemble themselves through your clarity, your focus, and your the emotion of freedom, wealth, whichever emotion you've got going on. Okay? So the formless becomes the formed. That's the transition to the desire hatching, and you seeing it and you enjoying it and going, wow, there it is. You become crucified upon the feeling of wealth, freedom, and strength. Remain buried in the stillness of these convictions. Then, as a thief in the night, and when you least expect it, these qualities will be resurrected in your world as living realities. So you are, by starting the thought first of I am whatever it is you desire, you're setting the wheels in motion mentally that then activates the emotions in your body. And then the third thing is it then goes out with the law of projection, and the law of projection brings you back the photocopy of the desire, the manifestation. Okay? The world shall touch you and see that you are flesh and blood, for you shall begin to bear fruit of the nature of these qualities newly appointed. So bearing the fruit is you would see the money. Bearing the fruit is you would see the love from an amazing person. You would see your health condition shift into you no longer having symptoms of whatever it is that you had that kept you in an unhealthy state. You will see the change in the external, but the external is the secondary game. The internal change is the first thing. That's what happens first. It's a knock-on effect. It's like dominoes knocking each other over. It must happen with the first. You're the first domino. You're it. Now, the world shall touch you and see that you are flesh and blood, for you shall begin to bear the fruit of the nature of these qualities newly appropriated. This is the art of successful fishing for the manifestations of life. Successful realization of the thing desired is also told us in the story of Daniel in the lion's den. Here it is recorded that Daniel, while in the lion's den, turned his back upon the lions and looked towards the light coming from above, that the lions remained powerless, and Daniel's faith in his God saved him. Which really makes sense, because fear is what creates being victimized. And if he turned away from being victimized and turned away from seeing the lions that would cause him the fear, and he focused on the light, he believed and had faith in that moment, it must have been strong enough to activate him being saved. Now that's a belief and faith in God that you would need in that situation for sure. But he did it. So if he can do it, we can do it with our situations. This also is your story, and you too must do as Daniel did. If you found yourself in a lion's den, you would have no other concern but the lions. You would not be thinking of one thing in the world but your problem, which problem would be the lions. Yet you are told that Daniel turned his back upon them and looked towards the light that was his God. If we would follow the example of Daniel, we would, while imprisoned within the den of poverty, of sickness, take our attention away from our problems of debt or sickness and dwell upon the thing we seek. If we do not look back in consciousness to our problems, but continue in faith, and this is the thing, stop looking back, stop going over the old story, stop talking about what they did, stop talking about what they didn't do, stop talking about what they should have done, focus on the end result and feel the relaxedness that that brings. Believing ourselves to be that which we seek, we too will find our prison walls open and the things sought, yes, whatsoever things realized. B.
Yes, I've got another question.
Mm.
So the question actually is, of course, you know that I'm trying to manifest a specific person, and I'm also I've manifested the money. I'm trying not to manifest wasting the money. Because I was saying to you, even if I get £10,000 a month, I'll find a way to waste it and be broke at the end of the month. And that's a habit more than it is a belief system. So going back to the quote that I said, that we created you in pairs so you could find peace and tranquility within one another, how do you overlook the person's external life, like their career and how much money they have? That it's kind of intimidating for you to be dating someone who's got a lot more money than you and so forth, and is quite good looking. How do you overlook that and focus on the person and the relationship?
Well, it's not about overlooking them. It's about building up your I'm not good enough. Because whatever it is they're doing, it doesn't have to intimidate. It doesn't have to make you feel anything. It's your interpretation of it that's causing you the I'm not good enough feeling, you see.
I don't think it's I'm not good enough. It's a case of I'm 33, I'm not young. It's a case of I know myself well enough to know that certain things are just not my cup of tea. Like being the center of attention is not my cup of tea. I get enough attention, it's just not my cup of tea. So it's just like, if they've got a life where they're always the center of attention, but you don't like the spotlight to be on you, then you're happy for them to have the spotlight on them. But you just don't want to share the spotlight. You want to be more in your own bubble that you've created where you're happy. So how do you share both worlds? But if you're an introvert, how do you share your world with an extrovert?
Well, I think it's just realizing that we're different, and there's obviously opposites attract. I mean, there's been many extroverts that date introverts, because two extroverts together can be a bit much, and then two introverts together, that can be where there's not a lot going on. It's the balance of the someone different that is a wonderful thing. I mean, there's so many actors that are married that you never see their spouses. And you know that they're the extrovert, they're the ones out acting, singing, famous musicians, all that stuff. And you know that they've been married to someone for 30 years. Now, that person does not like the limelight, isn't wanting to be in anywhere near interviews and things like that, but they've worked it out that works for them. So I think if you just sit comfortably in your introvertedness, because it's a wonderful thing to be an introvert, it really is. So
the reason why I asked this question is because when we first saw, the story, we first saw each other all those years ago, he wasn't a millionaire. He was just a normal boy from down the road. He's only 25. There's an age gap between us two.
yeah.
But because we are from the same community back in East London, it is a case of, if we get into a relationship, the whole thing is just going to throw off balance, because I've never dreamt about being rich. That's not something that I've dreamt about. I've dreamt about being comfortable. And that's why I'm saying the relationship, how it makes you feel, and the comfort and the love that you get and all the rest of it. So there's a part of me, it's just like, there is some belief systems around the relationship, but it's not the relationship, it's the person. Like, he's very hardworking, he's very disciplined, he does, like, he's always got his shirt off because he likes the attention, which is fair enough because I wear a bikini as well, but I don't really do it to get the attention. It's more about feeling good within yourself. So there is a difference between us two. But
Yeah.
my psychotherapist said you kind of have to overlook all of that stuff and focus on the person that he's at home in his gym jams.
With cartoon characters on them.
I didn't think about it
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
But that's what your relationship actually is when you two are alone together, are you
That's
happy?
right. That's right. Exactly right. Well said. And I mean, let me ask you, what do you like about him? You said he's hardworking. You said what? I mean, what other things do you like about him?
He's gentle. He's not one of those guys that are like really in your face. And when he first saw me, he was a bit like, I showed you when we did our session, I showed you what he did. And it was just a case of he's gentle. He's more hardworking than he is ostentatious. Like, you know, they say that certain people want the glamour of being successful, but they don't want to work hard to be successful. He works hard. He's intelligent. He nurtures other people. He's got quite a lot of maternal characteristics, but he's also got quite a lot of paternal characteristics as well. And that's the type of person that you would like to sit down and like maybe have a coffee or a dinner and ask them questions. But when it comes to self-love, it is a journey that you kind of have to keep yourself on track with. You can't go branch off here and there. It's okay to branch off here and there, like eat healthily, but then have a bar of chocolate. That ain't gonna break the bank. But there is a lot of internal work that I'm still doing, and I'm trying to keep myself tracked. But a relationship isn't gonna knock me off. I just have to keep on focusing on myself. Like, how does the relationship nourish my life? How does it nourish my soul? And that's what I'm kind of focusing on.
Yeah, and it's, you know, whether you're with someone or you like someone and you're not together yet, the work is still the same. It's like you continue to do your self-love work, whether it's eating healthy, exercising, meditation, prayers to the God of your understanding, whatever it is. It's like the more you can pour into yourself, the relationship will benefit from it. And I think that is something I see a lot, is that people do their self-love work, they attract an SP or someone new, either way. And then 6 months later, they appear in my inbox again with, oh, I attracted this amazing relationship and it's all fallen apart. It's like, okay. And the first question I ask is, what's your self-love routine? Oh, well, I stopped doing that 4 months ago. So what happens is you slide back to the old man, you slide back to your old ways, you slide back to trying to get love, you slide back to they're not giving me what they used to give me, you start looking at the glass half empty, you start being ungrateful, you forget to get your foot off the back of their neck, and you destroy the relationship because of all of these things. 1% a day, eventually it destroys the relationship. So the work is to continue the work on yourself and to continue to make yourself feel good just for you. And then that has a knock-on effect to fertilize the relationship. The better you look after yourself in every way, shape, or form, the relationship will keep getting better and better and better, rather than getting worse and worse and it gets destroyed, you see. So
that's the thing. I would sorry to interrupt you. I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead.
My manager, I want everyone to hear this. My manager said to me that when you focus on yourself, everything in your life is just going to fall into place. And she's so right. If something's not falling into place, it's not because you're focusing on yourself. But what I've come to realize is when I come home and I visualize it, and it's not a case of chore, like a visualization is a chore, it just comes naturally to me. There's a part of me, it's like I don't want the relationship. But then when I look outside, it's just like the mountain's still there. The mountain being that the relationship's not there. Like, why is it not there? But then it's just a case of I'm trying to manifest my new car, because my car is unfortunately on its last legs. I love it to pieces. It's a 2006 plate Yaris, very old, but I love it. But unfortunately, the car's on its last leg, and I want a new car so I can feel secure driving that car. Like, it's not going to break down on the road and all the rest of it. But it's just like, I don't want to manifest a Range Rover, because the Range Rover, my belief system around it is that it's expensive to run, it's quite ostentatious, it makes me look like I'm quite one of those people that are trying to be rich, and it's just like, you know, when rich people don't show off their money type thing. I just have this
Yes.
negative. So there's kind of like the same belief systems around my Pacific person. Like, he's rich, he's got money, and that's not what I've dreamt about. I've dreamt about living in a 3-bedroom house with a rose bush and a white picket fence and a fireplace and baking cookies on a Sunday. That's my dream. It's not a case of buying Hermes bags. That's just not something that I want. And I feel kind of like a fish out of water. This is not the life that I've dreamt about.
Well, the thing is, he might want those things. You don't know.
Yeah.
He might have
Right.
money and has become successful, and he obviously made his own money, but it doesn't mean that he's got grandiose ideas about what he wants. We don't know. So it's allowing yourself again to get to know someone and get to know. It's so easy to make assumptions and interpretations about people when we don't really know what's going on in their heads. So it's cutting people slack, giving them the benefit of the doubt, and saying, I'm not going to jump to conclusions about this person, and I'm going to see who they really are. And look, I agree with you about the Range Rover in London. I mean, goodness me, how tight are the streets here? Who wants to drive a Range Rover?
You know, the Range
On
Rovers are
those
50.
streets?
This is the thing. Me and him are from, like, we've got plenty of people in common. He goes to the same gym that my brother's childhood best friend owns. We've got so many people in common. I used to work with his auntie, who's now passed away, unfortunately. So it's like we've got so many people in common. And what I was going to say was this: in London, a Range Rover is what, £50,000. No, they're not getting insured, and if they're getting insured, they're getting insured for more than they're actually even worth. It's just like, with me, I'm just like, an ostentatious car is something that I just don't want. It's just something that I just don't want. I rather have something. Anyway, that's not the point. But it's just like, in my head, the relationship has manifested, but to get to know the person, it's going to be well, that's not what's going on in my head. I think that's the thing that I'm kind of conflicted about.
In what way?
So in my head, the relationship's manifested. It's not, to me, it's not even about the marriage or whatever. It's about the experiences that you will have if you were in a relationship. I've said this to you before, like, thank God. And this is one thing me and him have in common. We always thank God. Thank God I have what I have. I've got more than what I need. Sometimes there is stuff that I do lack, but sometimes it's a case of you have to be grateful for what you have. What is the universe trying to teach you, and so forth. So I'm just like in this place where I'm just like, I have everything I want. I just need a bit more discipline, self-discipline, and a number of other things. Like I said, if someone gives me £10,000 a month, it's not like I'm going to be driving around a Range Rover and showing off to people. I'll just find somewhere to blow it and won't even realise where it's gone. I might even, like, that's me with money, unfortunately. So that's saying to me that you need to be, like, you told me to do this. You need to write down what you are spending your money on. Like this week, I had to give £200 to my mum because she has to go to Pakistan because her brother's died. So that's not money that I've wasted down the pan. But then again, £100 on clothes. But then I'm like, Zara had a sale on, and I can take those clothes back if I don't want them. It's not like I've completely wasted the money.
Yeah.
But to me, right now, the focus is myself. And like, I went for a lymphatic drainage massage today, and she was like, you've got so much water, it's not even a joke. The water keeps on coming back. And that's something I know is wrong with me. It's a health issue. So that's just saying to me, or God saying to me, that you need to focus on yourself and your well-being, and even the way that you're sitting, your posture is affecting your health. So just focus on yourself and what's going, unfortunately, wrong in your life, but you can rectify it. But it's just that thing that in my head, I think the relationship has manifested, but then when I look outside the window, he's not there. But then it is a case of getting to know the person from scratch, and you might not like them, and vice versa.
That's true. And that's why I think sometimes people jump to living in the end of being married to someone when they haven't really got to know them. I think that's a bit of a red flag, because there still needs to be some reality, as in getting to know who the person is, their likes. There's going to be some things that are deal breakers. So you need to know, if someone's a real healthy person, they're not going to want to go date someone who smokes cigars, or smokes weed or whatever. There's going to be some things that you go, that goes against so you need to get to know someone to look at their lifestyle choices, their habits, their, and that's a really important process, getting to know someone in reality. I mean, we talk a lot about that, you got to forget reality and focus on just living in the end. Yeah, but there is a 20% that you need to get to know people. And I think that that is where we need to remember the turtle wins the race. I mean, you can manifest things rabbit style, and, that's all well and good if it happens. I'm not against it. But I find in specifically in regards to relationships, building a friendship first, stop having sex first, stop jumping to too much physical contact first, because as soon as that happens, you get more attached and then you can't see the person clearly. Get to know someone slowly, get to know who they really are. And then you go, okay, now I can see this person has the qualities of a husband or of a long-term boyfriend or whatever it is that you want. So those things are really important. And I do see there is a lot of extreme acceleration going on, because this I don't want to be alone stuff is going on, not for you, but for a lot of people that I come across. And then you don't get to know the person as a friend. Friendship makes for the best relationships if you know you've got stuff in common. Then the chemistry and the sex life and the marriage and the children and the house, all of that can be added on, but you must get that base level correct for the relationship to be solid and secure and grounded to maintain the longness of it.
I think that's interesting that you say that, because my dance teacher, she turned around and said, girls, they get the relationship, they get the car, they get the house, they get everything, and they're still not happy because they haven't done the internal work.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. What I feel like it's a lot deeper than what we're talking about as well, because I've always had this dream that I've wanted to go to Santorini and Tuscany with my specific with my other half, whoever he may be, because I'm not attached to my specific person at all. It's just a case of, that I'm trying to manifest it to see if I can do it. I want it, but it's not a case of I'm completely attached to it type thing. I want the best result possible for me and him. But I was just like, if you do that, it's not a case of I bought you a gift. Like, here's a gift. Like, you should be so grateful that we're doing what I want to do. It's a case of, this is something I've always wanted to do, and I would really enjoy you to come with it. And it's a case of communicating that this is something that I want. It's not a case of you should be grateful that I'm doing it for you, because that's probably something he doesn't want to experience. He's more of, I know where he goes on holiday, and that's not really my cup of tea. It's more about keeping each other company. I think if you're the right person, you can become friends with anyone, but it's actually getting the foundation of the relationship. Because again, going back to that, are you able to create peace and tranquility in the relationship? Because when I was in Mexico, I was watching these two kids on the beach. They were spending hours together, and the girl just had this like blushing face. Yeah, she was just so happy. The guy looked intent, and they were young kids. They must have been about 19, around about that mark. And it's just like, that's what a relationship actually is. You're not on your phones. You're just on the beach, chilling out with each other and showing each other affection. And if you don't have that, you don't have a relationship.
That's right. That's right. And it's, it's not just about chemistry. It's about intellectual connection. It's about spiritual connection. Like, some people like to date people that are part of their religion or part of their spiritual beliefs, and that's fine. It's finding the things that are extremely important to you and matching on those levels, and you don't know that until you get to know somebody. So I think the getting to know someone and knowing who they are as a person, that is the most important foundation, because it's easy to have sex. It's easy to just go to the chemistry part and get all swept about with it all. And chemistry is a good thing, but it's not love. It's not being compatible. It's another thing separate. So it really is, looking at the person. Who are they?
You know why I say chemistry? Freddie Mercury said it about Queen.
What did he say?
he was like, before they were called Smile, and then it was him and Roger Taylor and Brian May
Yeah.
before Deacon joined, and he was like, this is a completely different chemical reaction, so we have to change the name to Queen. And then I love watching Freddie Mercury's interviews, as you know, you learn so much.
Yeah.
And it was like, if I'm honest, in today's day and age, relationships don't last forever. And it's a case of you have to wake up every single day and be like, how do I make my day better? And how you do love each other and whatever. Like, I know what love is because I'm an auntie. It's that unconditional feeling that I will do anything with protectiveness and all the rest of it. But it's just like, I was feeling really low. And at that moment in time, my niece just rang me up and said, Papa, as in your dad's sister, I love you. And that's what love actually is. Are you you know how animals and children love adults? That's how you have to be in a relationship. For me, my vocabulary is different to yours. And I feel like that's what chemistry actually is. It is a case of when you gel with someone, because in my religion, we believe that you met people, you were clustered together before you were born. And that's how you can get along with some people so effortlessly. And with my friends, sometimes you don't know what your common interests and like people say, what have you got in common? And it's like, it's not about that. It's about how you're there for each other in times of need, how you comfort each other, like, and stuff like that. The conversations that you have, are you able to be honest with the other person when they're being stupid, and vice versa? Are you able to listen to someone? And my colleague was once saying that when it comes down to it, you need to be observing the other person. And I've been with my last specific person, it was a case of when you're sad, what do they do? When they're sick, what do they want from you? And it's just like, he was having this conversation where we were like, oh, his colleague, he was in a relationship with a woman, and he always used to be doing little things for her that she liked doing. And then one day he said that, I want to go to the Rolling Stones concert. And she was like, I don't want to do that. And he ended the relationship there and then. And like, this is what I find a lot with women. It's not, I'm not saying, oh, men cheating, it's women's fault. I'm like, as a feminist, it is literally a case of, are you saying to other women there's consequences to their actions? As in, like, when Kim Kardashian said to Kourtney Kardashian, Scott's going to end up cheating on you because you're focusing on the children more than you're focusing on him. And you're always ratty and this, that, the other. And when it comes down to women, or people who have not had, for whatever reason, sometimes it's the parents have put the children on a pedestal. Sometimes it's a case of the parents didn't give their children love, or whatever the case may be. What do you expect of the person? And if that person expecting that off of you, how would you feel? I feel like I just went on a rant. Sorry, everyone.
That's all right. That's okay. It's a smaller group tonight, so it's fine. No, I mean, this is all important parts of learning, and relationships are multifaceted, and all of this is to be considered. So, you know, it's like the more you turn over stones, the more you get better at seeing what it is that you need to learn, adjust, so that you attract the thing that you desire. I think this is such a wonderful treasure hunt of exploration, because the thing that so many of us are drawn to is to have a relationship and to have money to be free. I mean, it doesn't matter what country, doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter what gender, it doesn't matter what sexual preference. Everybody seems to have that in common. It's what joins us and what unites us. So I think the relationships really aren't that hard once you understand that you are constantly receiving a very clear feedback about what you are doing all the time. It's like your phone when you never turn it off. It's like there is always feedback. So if you're having arguments with people, it gives you feedback about where your head's been at. And your bank account's the same around money. Your level of freedom as well. It's all feedback about how well you're doing on certain subjects. So the thing that I find as I get 30 years into all of this, firstly, is that I'm just starting to understand Neville after 30 years, really start to understand. And secondly, that what I thought he said 5 years ago is not what I'm reading today. And thirdly, that if you can relax more and do it faster, and let go more and do it faster, and surrender more and do it faster, and let go of your preoccupation and do it faster, and then go do things that distract you to make you feel better faster, your life will be so much smoother than you trying to work out what's wrong with you. Because we keep going over what's wrong with me, what do I need to change, what do I need to work on, especially when you've been working on this personal development in your own life. This is what we do. We scrutinize the self, but sometimes we scrutinize so much that we handbrake ourselves because we are constantly looking for what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what do I need to change, what do I need to change? Whereas if you just hopped out of that groove and just had more fun, had more enjoyment, played more that day, read something nice, have a nice coffee, whatever it is that you enjoy, just go from one thing to the next, make it more fun from morning till bedtime, your relationship will improve, your bank account will improve, your freedom will improve, because you're not stuck in the handbrake's up and I'm still trying to drive. So there is a really simple way to get things to manifest, and that's just enjoy more, relax more. And that sounds really simple, but when you're caught up in your own thing about why your thing's not manifesting, you're not relaxed, you're tense, you're preoccupied, you can't be present, you're not enjoying what you're doing. And all of that is the reasons why you don't attract what you want, because you're not in that floating on the ocean state. That's the state that brings things in. And that is the hardest thing to do, is the letting go and the surrender. It is. It's like techniques are much easier than surrendering and letting go. That's why people don't want to talk about it. That's why people don't want to meditate. That's why people don't want to be meditating regularly. Because those things are harder, because they involve you sitting and looking at and feeling how you feel. And I understand people don't want to do that, but the more you can do it, it's the key that opens the door. It really is. It opens the door. So
What I found with my working with you is the limiting belief systems. And sometimes those limiting belief systems can take you 7 months to actually uncover. And that,
well, that's not long, B. For me, it took 10 years on certain subjects. So 7 months is pretty good.
okay.
You've done all right if it's only 7 months. You will realize there's more and more things, and you just go, wow, this is, it becomes this fun adventure of self-discovery, that you stop the going through the world on automatic pilot, and you become less reactive and more responsive, creative. You understand the process of how to create things, and it's having your emotions, letting them pass through, relax quicker, surrender. Oh, I need to have faith. That's right. Let me do my imaginal scene. Okay, I'm finished with that. Let me get on with making my breakfast. You tack more quickly because you know not to stay stuck in certain things, because it wastes your precious time, and time is the most valuable commodity.
I love that. It's not about being reactive, it's about being responsive. I love that.
Yeah. But that takes time, because you think life's happening and then you're feeling certain things, but you don't realize, as Neville talks about, it's your mood that affects the outside. So
I found, that right now I'm manifesting things quickly. So I'm trying to be very, very mindful of what I'm thinking, but you also have to ask this question. And I want people who are manifesting a specific person, ask yourself this question. Are you trying to manifest that specific person because you're trying to manifest a deep, better relationship with your parents, or your parents didn't give to you? That was something that I had to go through. Why are you? Because when it came to my last specific person, I didn't want to manifest him. After the damage was caused in our relationship, there was no relationship. I just thought that there was someone not better for me out there. That's why I kept on manifesting him back in my life, but I didn't want him until I came to the realization, you actually don't want this man because he did something that hurt me terribly, but that's his character before I even met him. That's not something that I'm creating. But the universe kept on testing me, which is something that I'm going to read about in a few weeks when I get time. But it was literally a case because right now I'm trying to align my behaviors and deal with my fears and doubts. But it was literally a case of you don't want to manifest that specific person. You're just trying to manifest something else, and you have to kind of get that clear. And then once I came to that realization, I was like, oh yeah, 2 years ago I met that guy who's now my new Pacific person. But then I'm questioning, do you actually want to be in a relationship with the guy? You know you want to be in a relationship, but it is what it is. I think I have to enjoy the process of getting to know him.
Correct. I agree.
Thank you, Agnes.
No worries. Gayatri, I'll take your question. We've got another 8 minutes. Bye,
Yeah.
Justice. I'll see you next time. Go ahead, Gayatri.
Yeah. So one question was, you said that as you get inside the relationship, you start leaving your self-love work. I think somewhere I also got kick-started with like pushed by with that thing. So is it possible to really work on your self-love to recreate your specific person and your relationship as well?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, right?
Yeah.
But only through the base of self-love.
Self-love is the fuel that will continue the maintenance of a good relationship. If you stop that work, most people, I will say, will default back to their old negative, repetitive ways. That's why the relationship takes a hit and it falls apart.
Got it. Got it. And I wanted to ask with regards, like when you were manifesting your SP, what kind of letting go did you do? And how sure you were that he's going to come? Because it took a while for you, right, to manifest him.
I
And
wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. I was in a state of doubt, and then I'd be sure, and then it'd be a state of doubt. I don't think I ever felt really 100% sure. I came in and out of it, but I wasn't 100%. I probably was 60%, if anything. I just thought I've got to stop focusing on that, and I need to just focus on getting into a state of love and holding it. So what did I do to answer your question? I would just lay on my bed on my back in the cross position and say, I surrender, I let go, I surrender, I let go, I surrender. I said it for hours because I was so tightly hanging on. So I thought I have to learn how it feels in my body to surrender and let go. That was my job. And it took a lot of practice because it would come back. I'd get all tense. I'd get neck pain, shoulder pain, lower back pain because I was tense. I didn't know how letting go felt. I didn't know how being relaxed felt because when it comes to a specific person, it's quite a anxious, intense feeling in the body, especially when you are not knowing what's going on in a relationship. You take on that tension of, well, it's fear. It's fear.
yeah.
Excuse me. So yeah, I practiced it a lot because I was hopeless at it. Hopeless.
Even I feel the same. So sometimes when I say I'm loved, I feel I'm loved part actually helps me to surrender and let go. Because it's very non-statement, right? It's not pointed to a specific person. So you feel I'm loved means you're feeling happy and something that is the feeling that you get when you are meditating deep in I'm loved.
That's it.
I'm loved. But sometimes, as you said, even I'm loved can sound very contradictory. That time, I think we should surrender and let go, like as you said, the word you used. And so I think prioritizing your happiness to the fullest extent, because even before I manifested this relationship, it was like I'm loved, and every day my daily practice was to keep myself happy from morning to night.
Mm.
That was the only thing I did. I
And
didn't.
that's it right there that you said, that is it. If you could remember that every day for the rest of your life till the day you die, that remembering that and doing it to the best of your ability, that is the most profound spiritual practice, because you let everyone off the hook in your life to make you feel happy, to make you feel loved. That is such a gift you give the people around you, because so many people have got the, you need to be doing this for me to feel loved and for me to be happy. And that is a burden we put on people. So when you release them from that, wow. And you release yourself, because you understand that love comes from within, it comes from source, God, and you practice learning how to get in connection with it and contact with it. Because at first you don't feel it, because your whole life you've been geared to, how can I get that person to love me? Whoever they are, mom, dad, sister, brother, friend, lover, ex, husband, whoever, boyfriend. So it's like most of society runs on trying to get love from others. And the thing is, as soon as you have a specific person and the wheels fall off, wow, they give you the greatest lesson in love when you are trying to get love from them and they won't give it. They're doing you the biggest favor ever.
Yeah. So that's why when I manifested this relationship, I was completely happy. So the thing is, I feel this came in the right time, so I want to remanifest it.
So you just go back to doing what you were doing, and then it levels out, because you have changed your projection. You have changed your state.
Yeah. Probably I made him as a source of my love or my source of my happiness.
There you go.
In the main source of my happiness. Probably I did have other sources. Okay.
So now you see, good information, good insight. Now I know that. Now I'm going to, that's not the way to go. I'm going to wind back and learn to correct that in myself so that I don't do that again.
Thank you. But it is amazing that you manifested your SP, because you should have been in definitely a doubt spot.
Well, yeah, because we were in totally different countries and it was 30 hours on a plane away. So yeah, it was tough. I mean, I had many doubts of this isn't going to happen, because.
But how many months did you spend manifesting it?
It was quite a lot of months, because we didn't see each other. So it was only when I came from Australia to France to see my family that I hopped over to London to see him. And then I went back to Australia, and I was working a job then. I couldn't just take off whenever I want like I do now, because I'm running my own business. So it was like I had to be without him. And then what happened was, not being able to see each other created an immense amount of frustration and aggravation. So that would build up in both of us. Then we would argue. Then it was like, we can't do this. This isn't going to work. We live in different countries. Let's let it go. And then I would think, well, I still want to be with him. And he couldn't come to Australia because he had a child. If anyone had to move, it was me, because I didn't have kids. So it was just, that was the nature of what it was. So I made a couple of trips here. We still argued. We were rubbing each other the wrong way. I mean, we felt this intense emotion and connection, and then we would, would be bad conversations, up and down emotionally, because that's what was going on within me. So that was what the relationship was doing. It was going like that, So leveling out and balancing yourself is the hardest work, because we get so affected by external things. So every day you get a chance to say to yourself at night, how well did I do today at keeping myself balanced and grounded and surrendered and being in a state of letting go and love? How good did I do at that today? That's the thing to judge yourself on. How well did I do today? Oh, I didn't do that great. I'll try again tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. So you're really, the game of life, like Florence talks about, is you against you every day, every day.
So it took you a couple of months, right? Probably how many months? 6 months or 8 months?
It
Or a year?
depends. I mean, I think because we weren't in the same country, I mean, I don't know if you heard where there was a story that I was saying to God. I was in the car and I just said, give me a clear, obvious, unmistakable sign if I'm supposed to go to London and try and be with this person. And within 5 minutes, I drove on, I saw a billboard and it said, a taste of London. It was a Kentucky Fried Chicken ad. And I'm in Sydney, so that didn't make sense because I was in Sydney. If I'd been in London, that would have made sense, but I was over there. And then the billboard rolled and it said, good to go. And within 2 weeks, I was on a plane in London because I couldn't decide. I didn't know what to do. I thought, this is a stupid idea. Why are you going to see someone in another country? Why are you even attempting this? You won't be able to live there. You don't have a job there. You know, it was just like, I had to change my work. I had to probably, if I worked for myself, earn 100,000 a year to be able to go back and forth because I wasn't leaving my mum in Australia on her own. And then it was like, is this relationship even going to work? I'm taking a huge risk. So there was so many things dovetailing together. It wasn't just the relationship. It was my job. It was money. It was relocating and the relationship. And the relationship wasn't stable. So the months of us me going back and forth, I learned to stabilize my self-love. And that's when the relationship improved.
Okay. When you stabilized your self-love, the relationship improved. That's what it is.
Yeah. And that took time because I was not stable. I wasn't. I was emotionally up and down like a jack in the box. I just couldn't hold my center. I couldn't hold my I'm secure. I couldn't hold the I am love. I wasn't good at it. So the better I got at that, the better the relationship got. The less we argued, the less the frustration. Because there was physical frustration, sexual frustration of not being able, it was only conversations over, you know, WhatsApp or whatever we were using at that time. So it was frustrating. So yeah, it took a lot of work. I mean, I look back, I don't think I'd attempt that twice. That was the most amount of work I ever had to do, and it fried my brain. It was because there were so many different things going
I
on.
think, I think it fries your brain.
Yeah, it fried my brain.
And you feel like you're not ready to do it again, right?
I wouldn't do it again. If I knew what I was beginning when I began it, I look back and thank God I didn't know how hard it was going to be because I never would have attempted it. But once I was in it, I couldn't go back, you see. I had committed to getting myself into a good state, letting go of a job, earning 100,000 a year, and then spreading my wings in another city to see if this relationship would float. So it had some great moments. It had some horrible moments. And then it's like after a storm, the boat gets to that nice, peaceful, calm ocean. We got to that place. We literally got to the place where we wore off each other's edges because we're both quite, you know, I mean, we're both Sagittarians. We're both fire signs. We're both passionate. We can be intense. We can be, you know, forthright and all of that. So two of us like that, it was like, oh my goodness, why didn't I pick someone who was calmer than me? But now, you know, I mean, he's upstairs right now and we're going to watch a movie and we enjoy each other and we poke fun at each other and we have so much fun now. The relationship got better and better and better because I worked on my self-love. His self-love was much better than mine. Much better. He was more stable than me. He was more grounded than me. He didn't put up with all my, you know, lack of self-love moments. He just said, right, if you're doing that, go and do that over there and come and tell me when you're done. He would not indulge me in anything, which I found frustrating, but he was right. He didn't want to be standing next to a child. He wanted a woman who was secure and grounded, not a person acting like I was acting all those years ago, because we've been together I think 12 years now. See, I'm the one that forgets the date, not him. So it's over a decade. I do know that.
Okay.
So yeah. So there you go.
So yeah, this is the last thing I want to say. So I think I think there is no getting back when you are in this journey of self-love. That is why it's only the SP who teaches you how incredible and important the self-love is, because other areas of your life you can just manifest by writing.
Yeah.
Probably money also, few affirmations. And you needn't keep on rewinding it. But this is something which is very close to our heart, right? So
It
I
is.
think, yeah, when you get inside the journey, I think there is no getting back. I think you have to complete the journey.
Yeah. It's like you can't get off the boat because there's no
And that's
land.
why I got you. That's why I got you as my coach, so that you will kick me in my ass. So no, don't get back or find someone else. You are good.
Come
I
back.
told you.
I'll kick you in the ass anytime you want, Gayatri. Come.
So that I don't revert back. I don't give up on this
Yeah.
thing. So I think, yeah, I'm in somewhere middle, and I've crossed halfway. And I don't want to get back and find someone new and again get back into the same.
Exactly.
Because you're wherever you're going, you're carrying yourself with you. It might be any SP, right? So
That's right. It doesn't matter if it's an SP or someone new, you still take you with you. So exactly right. Exactly right. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Agnes. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. And I will upload this at the YouTube channel, at my YouTube channel, for those of you that want to listen to it again. And I will see you next month for the next one. I will announce it, but it will be the first Sunday of the month now that I'm back in London. Lots of love, everyone. Bye-bye.